Welcome to the RAC Action Adventure video series. Produced especially for RAC subscribers, these videos capture the heart-pounding thrill of true big game hunting. Join Jackie Bushman and the rest of the Action Adventure video crew as we travel across the United States and Canada in pursuit of the animals that fill the pages of RAC magazine. Share the drama as we harvest numerous monster whitetails with both bow and gun, trophy elk, 2,000-pound moose, grizzlies, 180-inch bighorns, mountain lions, and other tremendous big game animals will have you on the edge of your seat as they come into range. These hunts are rugged and tough, and all 100% fair chase. Through these videos, you can experience the excitement of our successes and enjoy the action and adventure of big game hunting at its best. So sit back and enjoy this edition of the RAC Action Adventure video series. We've made it especially for you. Autumn is a special time in the scenic mountains of south-central Pennsylvania. The brisk mornings and the bright fall colors add a touch of excitement to the day. The deer are still in the pre-rut stage, but some of the bucks are already chasing does and making scrapes as the rutting activity builds with each day. Each year, Jackie looks forward to going back to meet with his good friends George and Josh Warner of Hill Country Whitetails for a mid-October bow hunt. Early the next morning, Jackie hunts a stand located deep in the hardwoods along a major travel corridor. His strategy is to intercept the deer as they make their way to the thick bedding area after a night of feeding. It's not long before Jackie hears footsteps in the dry leaves behind the stand. Both bucks pass directly behind the stand, but the dense foliage makes it nearly impossible to find an open shot. Jackie elects to pass on the opportunity and watches as the two bucks head up the ridge and disappear into the thick hardwoods. A short time later, a young doe makes her way by the stand. And trailing right behind her is a curious young buck. Suddenly, Jackie catches movement of another buck walking his way.
Man, that's a great buck. I bet she's got a 20-inch spread. Man, I could see him coming up on the ridge right there, and I had to squat down. I kept looking and looking, and he was making a scrape up there. And then he just started working his way down the hill right there. And I drew back right when he got behind those trees. And when he stepped out right there, there's a lot of thick undergrowth right here. So I had to let him get out a little bit where I could get a shot. I grunted at him, and I was able to make the shot. So he didn't go anywhere. But he looks like a great buck. Let's go down and see what he looks like. great day, what a buck. Man, oh man, look at that. Look at the back tines on this one, folks. Isn't that a great buck? Look at that. Boy, he has been tearing the trees up. Look at that buck. Man, oh man, oh man. I tell you, we had a great morning. We had a couple really nice bucks come right behind us. I could not, for love nor money, get a shot at them. I just couldn't get turned around and being left-handed. And one buck walked up there and he started making a scrape and he didn't give me a good shot. He walked off and I went, golly, I've blown my chance. Then we had some does come through and a little small buck chasing it. And then all of a sudden I looked up on the ridge right there to my right and I had to squat down and I could see it was a buck, but I just couldn't tell. And all of a sudden he cut and was coming right to us. And I was able to draw back right when he went behind that tree right there. I grunted at him, he stopped, and I was fortunate to make a good shot. But man, that was fun. That is a great, great buck. Look at that.
Early September is a magical time of year in Montana. Temperatures are mild and the foliage is thick. Plush river bottoms with huge cottonwood groves surrounded by abundant crop fields create an environment beneficial to all wildlife, especially the whitetail. Terry Rome of Wellington Outdoors finds himself in an early morning stand overlooking some well-used deer trails leading from the fields back into the bedding area. And it's not long before Terry catches sight of a good buck slipping through the cottonwoods. The buck looks mighty impressive as it angles toward his stand. Unfortunately, the buck takes a trail that allows him to pass at a distance. He never really enters within a comfortable bow range. Terry makes the decision not to risk the shot and watches this exceptional buck just walk away. That same morning, Buckmaster's Vice President Alan Brewer is perched high on a cottonwood tree near an active creek crossing. The morning begins with the passing of a young 7-point still in full velvet. Then excitement builds as Alan spots a good-looking buck coming his way.
Well, what'd you see?
Saw a pretty good one.
Really?
Yeah, I got a shot at him. I think he was an 8 probably. He came through pretty quick, and you know how it is in the heat of the moment.
You don't have time to look.
Yeah, he came right across that slough, you know, and
just right where we set the stand.
Yeah, Yeah.
Which way did he go?
He went back into that head of woods over there. I have been dying to see him. I've been sitting here for an hour waiting on you to come. I told you I'd stay here and wait for you. I think the best thing we can do is probably go where I shot and see if we can pick up his trail there.
Try to find the arrow, look at it. Or...
Yeah, okay.
He didn't come back my way because I could see clear across that field.
Got some right here, Terry, right across this log. There's some. There he is, right there.
All right, make sure he's down.
Okay.
Boy. You got him, buddy. Congratulations, Alan.
What a buck.
Nice
what
deer.
a buck.
Nice deer. He didn't go far, did he?
Gosh, he's bigger than that. You know, when the moment happens, you just never know. You never really know how big a deer is, and when you walk up on one like this, God.
You know, this looks like the buck I seen late last night. Big 8, big frame, but it was getting pretty late.
You mean I got your buck?
I believe you did. Tell me what happened.
I tell you, we set up and had a quick storm go through this morning, and I mean, we had to get down for a minute. It was blowing so hard, and we got right back up. As soon as we got up, we saw does, you know, and sat there for a little while. The does came through, and we didn't. And I mean, he walked across that slough so fast, I barely had time to get my bow up. And he came right up to the spot, you know, right to the left of the stand where we set it up there. It was just a perfect spot. And he quartered toward me a little bit. And I couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't wait for that perfect shot because because about 3 more steps and he'd have been gone. But boy, look, he still got velvet on him too. I've never shot one in velvet.
Well, that's a pretty 8-point.
Oh.
It's now October in the Big Sky country of Montana as the temperatures start to cool down and the foliage begins to change. The deer are still in a somewhat relaxed attitude as they take advantage of the last of the agricultural crops to put on as much body fat as possible before winter sets in. After thoroughly checking the area, Randy Scheck of Easton Arrows sets up on a well-used travel path that shows a lot of recent deer activity. Early that afternoon, Randy spots a good-looking 8-point coming his way. But luck is not in Randy's favor. The buck takes a route that parallels the trail the stand was set up for, and he never gets close enough for a good shot. Just as the sun goes down, a couple of does pass right under the stand. Then, when it looks as though Randy's day was about to end, another 8-point suddenly appears, very close to the stand.
What's happening?
Hey, Bush.
How was your afternoon?
Well, it turned out pretty good just the last few minutes.
You see a good one?
Yeah, I got a good one.
No.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Right up on that stand over on that side.
Yeah.
Hit him good, just right at late.
All right. Where'd he go? Which way?
Right over the top. He's just right down over here.
Okay. Get your bow.
So, good timing.
Man, good buck.
Yeah, I think so. He's a nice 8-point. Came in at about 30 yards.
Man, what a buck.
Isn't he nice?
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Jackie. It was great. Like I said, it was amazing. He came in at the absolutely very last light I could possibly have to shoot. I just picked up a little movement on the side, and he stayed on that lane, and I figured he's going to come in at about 30 yards. And I had to really quietly shift around in that tree stand and come to full draw and put a good shot on him. So I'm glad he didn't go far. He just barely came down off the top of that little rise right there.
Willows right out there in front of you?
Yeah.
And came all the way down the edge of the...
Yep. I'd seen some nicer bucks earlier, farther out, but they didn't want anything to do with the little setup I was in.
Man.
So,
Man, oh man.
Beautiful Montana buck.
And that's your best buck ever?
Best whitetail ever.
Is it really?
Yeah, I've got a few mule deer that are make this thing look good too.
Tell you what, we have had fun. That is the same stand that Jay got his deer into.
Is that right?
It sure is.
Well, good. The Easton crew, they do okay in that stand then.
Y'all have done extremely well. That is a great, great deer.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
All right, you got your tag.
Got the tag.
Tagged up. I'll go back to the trail, get the four-wheeler, and I'll come back and we'll help get him out.
All right, maybe a little supper later too?
Yes.
All right.
You are the man.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay.
The day after Randy got his buck, the weather turned cool and breezy with persistent rain and drizzle. The deer weren't really bothered by the change and went about their normal routine. Whitetails are not easily deceived, however. They'll nearly always use the wind to their advantage. That's what makes the bow hunting setup so critical on a day when the wind is gusting and constantly changing direction. That was the situation Buckmaster's Whitetail Magazine editor Russell Thornberry faced as he positioned himself high in a cottonwood. It was quite some time before Russ saw his first deer, a spike that curiously sniffs the air, uncertain as to whether or not it had caught scent of something. He finally relaxes and moves on. A couple of does step into an opening heading for the stand. And right behind them, through a thick canopy of limbs and leaves, Russ spots two nice bucks. Instead of stepping into the open, one of the bucks nervously turns to go behind the stand. Russ felt confident about his shot and climbs down to find his buck.
Ooh, boy. Well, it's a touchy situation in the pouring rain here. Happily, the deer was so close, and I shot through a little hole in the cottonwoods right there, and I saw it hit him. I saw fur fly off when the arrow hit, and I have every confidence that he's shot well, although it's only on the veins here it starts to show. He's obviously a lot of tallow on that arrow, but I don't see how I could have shot through him where I was aiming without having the results I want. Now it's going to be a matter of just finding him on this wet ground, so we'll get to that. It's going to have a happy ending after all. Rain and everything. First time we'll get to see the whole deer. Oh, look at the deer. Oh, beautiful. I think it's all done. Yes, sir. Oh, boy. Now look at this guy. Is that interesting or what? A 9-point with a strange kind of a reddish color to his antlers and a big split brow, trying to be split again, reminiscent of the buck I took down here a couple of years ago. Well, all right.
It's a mild, late December day as Jackie gets set up on the edge of a clover field with his shotgun in his home state of Alabama. It wasn't long before a couple of does step out of the thick woods surrounding the field and begin to feed. And to Jackie's surprise, a good-looking buck casually walks out. He's not as interested in feeding as he is in the does that are on the field. It's a little early in the season for the rut, but this 7-point is definitely eager to get things started. He goes back into the woods looking for his doe. He's obviously in control as he returns to the field. But with all the chasing, he's attracted the attention of another buck. The 7-point bristles up and walks toward his challenger. The challenger is obviously younger and backs down from the dominant attitude of the mature buck. Jackie gets ready as the young 8-point follows a doe across the field and past the stand. The mature 7-point is close behind and comes within range.
Boy, isn't that a great buck right there? Check that out, folks. Look at all the little points coming off the bases right there. Been tearing the trees up and everything. Well, we had a great afternoon. We got to the stand real early, and we even ran a doe and a small spike buck out of the field. And once I got settled up in the tree stand, it probably wasn't 15 minutes, and all of a sudden we had a bunch of does come out. And they fed on the clover right there for a while, and all of a sudden they looked up in the corner of the field, and I could see a deer coming through the woods. I knew it had a rack, just wasn't sure how big it was. And I saw it making a scrape over there, and all of a sudden it came to the edge of the field. You could hear it grunting. He came right out, turned broadside. I took the safety off. I was getting ready to let him have it right there, and all of a sudden he started chasing all the does. And he ran out at the end of the field right there, and I couldn't get a shot. And I waited, and finally he came back in, and then another buck came at the end of the field. And he kind of turned and went toward that buck, and I thought we were getting ready to really have a fight on our hands. But finally he started feeding our way, and I needed to wait till he got within 50 or 60 yards. And he got broadside right there, and he was grunting at one of the does, and I was fortunate to make a good shot. And this is a mature buck. The other buck was probably 1 year younger than this buck, but you know, to be able to take a buck with a shotgun, it is a lot of fun. All right, well, let me get back and get the four-wheeler, and we'll get him out. But that was a fun afternoon.
Often referred to as the land of the giants, the vast prairies of Kansas, speckled with draining ditches, fences, and narrow hedgerows, all combined create ideal habitat and offer the perfect terrain for deer activity. Terry Rohm of Wellington Outdoors prepares for a mid-December rifle hunt on opening day of the deer season in southern Kansas. He takes advantage of the airflow over an open knoll by placing a scent bomb directly upwind of the area he plans to hunt. And with the often shifting and unpredictable wind conditions, Terry adds a little insurance by spraying all over his outer clothing with an odor eliminator. The day was uneventful until the middle of the afternoon, when a young buck appears near a drainage ditch. He's nervous and looks toward a hedgerow. Terry quickly turns to see several bucks heading his way. Certain that there are better bucks in the area, he holds off and lets these young deer pass. Later in the evening, Terry catches sight of a terrific buck on the ridge across from him. He temporarily loses sight of the buck, but quickly devises a plan to get closer. He sneaks through the hedgerow and sets up along a fence downwind of the buck. Nearing the end of shooting hours, Terry is relieved when the buck finally appears following the does.
I tell you what, the deer were a long way off. I don't know what happened, if coyotes were running them or if somebody was putting on a deer drive. Next thing you know, we look up and there's about 20 deer coming over the hill, and we wanted to be on this side, but the wind was all wrong, so we played the other side, and we played it right because these deer never smelled us. and we must have been 500 yards from them when we first started. We get up, had the wind perfect, played it right, and got right in on them and made a good shot. Oh, what a deer. Big old Kansas buck.
Each year in Alabama, Buckmasters host an event for disabled hunters. This year, there were 12 participants, including Mike Papa, who traveled all the way from upstate New York. Stricken with a life-threatening case of muscular dystrophy and confined to a wheelchair, this brave youngster's greatest desire was to meet Jackie Bushman and go on a hunt with Buckmasters. Mike was outfitted with special equipment which enables him to aim and shoot, all on his own. Now let's join Mike, assisted by his dad, Jim Papa, and Buckmasters One-Shot Chapter President Phil Brinkerhoff, on an afternoon hunt along a green field. It's not long before two young bucks make their way to the field's edge. The excitement builds as Mike eyes a good buck feeding near the edge of the woods.
Well, buddy, you got your first deer down here.
Yep.
What do you think?
I'm proud, man.
Well, you ought to be. You can't even slap a smile off these two right here. You know, I was sitting up here at the house, heard the shot, and I don't know, for some reason, right after I heard the shot, I heard all this screaming and hollering. Is there any truth to that?
Yep.
Well, tell me what happened.
Well, I saw 5 bucks and a bunch of does.
Uh-huh.
And that one buck was chasing after a doe, and I shot him and he went down.
Did he really?
Yep.
One good shot. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. All right, Dad. What do you think?
Well, he's my youngest, and he showed us how to do it today.
That's great. Well, Phil, I know y'all put a lot of work into this, and you know there is a God out there that makes things happen. And
Yes, there is.
and I'd like to thank all of you. It was just a great team effort from everybody coming down. And this is a hunt that I'll never forget, and I appreciate you coming down. Okay? And you got your first buck right here at Buckmasters. All right. You're a trooper, man. That is a great, great deer.
Now let's travel north to the province of Alberta, Canada, on a mid-November rifle hunt, as Jackie tries to take advantage of the first stages of the rut. Set up back in the woods at the edge of the open timber, Jackie has good visibility for anything that moves through the area. At first light, Jackie spots a wide, heavy-beamed buck walking the ridge above him. A short while later, a small doe walks right under the stand. Jackie notices a couple of small bucks coming from the alfalfa fields as they make their way through the brush along the edge of the woods. Then, as if he were running from something, another small buck cuts across the pasture. He's followed by another buck and doe. to no surprise, a coyote appears. After the morning hunt, Jackie heads back to camp.
There's some deer out there, way, way out there. It's like 2 or 3. Boy, that's a heck of a buck bedded up right next to those does right there. Man, oh man, oh man. Boy, that's a heck of a buck. It's a drop tide. That's the drop tide. Oh, man. It's about 600, 800 yards. I got to get to this fence down here. That's him. That's a drop tide. My gosh, he's 800 yards, and look how tall his rack is. Man, oh man, oh man. down here. If they cut across this fence, I might be able to get a shot. I gotta get to right here. Man, chance I got. If they cross that fence and cut back this way, it's the only chance I got. I'm back. Right there at the fence. Crossing first. Still a little too far. Oh man, you gotta cut back. You gotta cut back. There you go. Don't come to that dike right there. Come on. There you go. There you go. Come on. Come on. He's running. Oh, gosh, I'm speechless. We've been doing this for 12 years. And folks, this is by far the biggest buck we have ever taken on camera. He is the drop tine buck. We've been hunting him for 3 or 4 years. Check it out. Is he a great buck or what? Forked brow points, kickers. I've been dreaming about this. And it's an omen. The first thing we found going out hunting the first day was his shed from last year. And look how he has grown. Man, oh man, oh man. Look at this. That is a great, great buck. Oh, man.
The next stop for the Buckmasters crew is North Texas for some mid-October bow hunting at the Montgomery Properties Ranch. Jackie and Russell Thornberry spend the morning scouting and placing stands with outfitter Don Montgomery. Later that afternoon, Jackie sets up in a grove of oak trees that shows sign of a lot of deer activity. Movement catches Jackie's attention as a good buck makes its way through the woods, heading in his direction. Even though the wind is right and the setup seems perfect, the buck senses something is wrong. That same afternoon, Russell climbs into a stand on the edge of a food plot and gets ready. Early in the hunt, a nice buck runs a doe across the field. Then Russ notices a good buck skirting the edge of the green field. The buck comes right toward the stand. Even though he was confident about the shot, Russell decides to wait for Jackie before going after his deer.
I'm glad you showed up. I thought maybe I was spending the night.
I'm sorry I was late. I had deer all under my stand and everything.
Oh, man.
What'd you do?
I got a buck, man.
Did you get a good one?
I got a beauty.
Did you really?
Yeah, I got
Where
a
is it?
11-pointer.
No.
Yeah, man, you got to see this thing. Come over here.
Pointer.
11. He's a mainframe pin with a great big kicker off the left side. Right here. Look at that.
Wow, big doggone.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, that's a hawk right there.
Look at that.
Man, that's a great deer.
You ain't kidding. Tell her me happy.
Man, look at that. Look at the tines on this deer.
I know it, man.
Man, oh man.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is a great buck.
And this,
Look at that kicker
I mean,
right
it's
there.
right out there, isn't it?
Man, oh man. Look at the beam on him and the brow tines.
He's a beautiful buck.
Man.
And I tell you what, man, he came down the fence line to where well, there's no gate, but you know there's an opening there. Turned in the opening, I mean like 12 yards right in front of me, and followed several more deer through that gap, and it was just, everything was perfect. The wind was perfect, blowing this way, and oh man, it was just.
Man, that's a dynamite buck. That's
Isn't
a
that
dynamite
fabulous?
buck with a rifle, but with a bow, that's even.
Yeah, I mean,
that's even
just,
better. Boy, Don and them do a great job here at the
Well,
management program.
They just have some beautiful, beautiful deer, I'm telling you.
All right, once you get him tagged up, I'll run back and get the four-wheeler up there, and I'll come back and we'll get him out.
All right, sir.
Boy, that's a good buck. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Well toward the end of the season, Don Montgomery and guide Jason Biesinger finally had a little free time to do some hunting for themselves. Their patience finally pays off when this spectacular bruiser of a drop-tine buck steps out onto the green field. With double drop tines and nearly 30 inches of brow tine, this incredible buck appears to have it all. What an extraordinary end to an exciting hunt. It's the late October rifle season in Montana, where the bucks are showing the first signs of the rut. While the younger, smaller bucks are still involved in friendly sparring matches, the older bucks are shying away from their bachelor groups, becoming more concerned with where the does are. Without the opportunity to set up stands the first afternoon of the hunt, Jackie takes a vantage point on a ridge where he can watch the woods from a distance and determine where the deer are entering the fields. The next day, Jackie scouts the area where the bucks came through the night before. Since the deer were crossing an opening pasture with no suitable trees for a tree stand setup, Jackie decides to make a ground blind out of hay bales, camouflaged with some western sage. If the deer traveled the same route they did the evening before, he should be within 200 yards and in good position for a shot.
Man, folks, look at this buck. Look at the beam on this buck right here. Big body size. Look at the neck. Real swollen already. And this is just at the end of October. We saw about 3 bucks coming out. They're going to an alfalfa field, and we had to get set up on hay bales. The deer, we hadn't been seeing much out of our tree stands, and we were seeing these deer coming out of this one little bedding area and coming across the alfalfa field. So we got the wind right, and had to make a shot, probably close to 200, 250 yards, and fortunate to make a good shot. And this is a great buck. Got a broken tine right here. Got another point coming out here. But body sizes on these whitetails, from the alfalfa, the sugar beets, and the corn. They've got all the food sources that they want. Let me get him tagged up. Oh, that's a good deer.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Rack Action Adventure video series. We look forward to bringing you more exciting hunting adventures in future videos. Until then, hunt safely and ethically.
Bears. They're among the most skillful, most agile, most playful, and most resourceful creatures in all of the wild. Especially the green ones. Bear Tracker from Yamaha. 'Cause out here, bears rule.
Some can't see the forest for the trees. And then there are those who spend a lot of time in the forest, in the trees. At Budweiser, we're committed to conservation, education, and responsible activities afield. Through partnerships with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and Buckmasters, we're working to preserve a great American tradition, so the great American hunter will always be right where he belongs. To good times in the great outdoors, this Bud's for you.
Larry, look at that! It's more of that dang Tinks. The super lure! The scent bomb! Oh, shut up, Ike. They'll hear us. Oh, the super pellets! And Tinks 69! Tinks 69! Your hook showing, Hank! And the 24-hour scent post! Oh.
Tinks, your #1 supplier of odor eliminators, cover scents, and lures.
Whoa! Get your buck back up here on the wall. Oh, your yard sale for sure. I'm going for it, Larry! That stuff's making you crazy, Hank. Heaven ain't a cornfield, Larry. It's Tinks! Oh!
Here, boys, with Buckmaster from Radica, you can go deer hunting anytime.
How's that? Oh, it ain't hunting season.
It's the new deer hunting game from Radica. You know, them boys that created bass fishing. It's just like the real thing.
It ain't hunting season. Ooh, there's some scrapes and rubs.
Radica puts everything in there. Wind directions, scent options, weather conditions, calls, droppings. But y'all better watch out for the bears.
Ooh, I got a buck in my sight. Hey, this sucker kicks when you fire. Oh, it's hunting season, man.
Buckmaster, the only real deer hunting experience any season. Get real. Get Radica.
You know, there's one ammunition that hunters and shooters everywhere consistently rate the highest. It's Federal Premium. This ammunition puts power and technology to work like never before. That, along with Federal's legendary quality, accuracy, and bullet performance, make this ammunition second to none. So when that big buck appears this season, chamber Federal Premium for the shot of a lifetime.
Join Buckmasters in 4 all-new action-packed videos. Hunt America's #1 big game animal, the white-tailed deer, in Action Bucks of '99, Volumes 1 and 2. In Volume 1, you'll enjoy hunts all across the country and be part of the action as Jackie Bushman takes his biggest buck ever, a 26-inch double drop tine 190 class whitetail. In Volume 2, you'll be impressed with the tremendous whitetails taken in the scenic mountains of Idaho and the vast prairie lands of Alberta, Canada. In the Buckmasters Big Game video series, Volume 1, you're part of the action on North America's grandest of big game animals, Alaska moose, New Mexico elk, Quebec Labrador caribou, and the awesome Canadian black bear. In Big Game Volume 2, you'll see the world's record Thule elk taken with a muzzleloader. You'll climb high in the Rocky Mountains as 2 bighorn sheep are taken, including a 42-inch Curl Boone and Crockett ram. You'll also see mule deer, whitetails, elk, and caribou taken on this action-packed video. To order, call 1-800-240-3337.